Good evening and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's a Talk Town special, and Steve's headline today is Town Hope for a Positive 2026. Well, how positive has it started? We're about to find that out. Steve, Oliver, Cal, I hope you are all well. I'm not going to do my little rounds because there's three of us. There's a lot to talk about. 2 games of football. One of them were today, so that's fresh in the memory. So no, more than likely, we'll be talking about that one a little bit more than the other one. Okay, so first of all, Huddersfield Town 2, Northampton Town 0. That was on the 29th of December, so just a good few days ago. The lineups was Lee Nicol started in goal. We had Balker, Lowe, Wallace as a back three, with Sorensen rowing the 2 wing backs. Kasumu and Ledson in the middle of the park. Castledine just playing in front of them, with Alfie May and Radulovic just in front of them 2 up front. And Steve, that's a fairly solid lineup, right?
Yeah, I was happy with the lineup. It was getting a few bodies back, especially when you look at the bench, and I thought it was going to be a good game. I mean, we all predicted it might be a little bit tougher than the Port Vale game, mind you. Playing against under 13s would be tougher than Port Vale, but Northampton were always going to come to the ground and be a solid team. And yeah, I was happy with the lineup, and I thought, overall we started the game particularly well.
Yeah, so let's have a quick chat about the subs then, Steve. We had Ruskin, Harness, Ben Wiles, Dion Charles Linden, Gooch, and also on there was Kamashia. Have I missed anyone? Obviously, Owen Goodman was there too. So yeah, you mentioned about players coming back and players being available. What kind of game did we expect? We are going to have Cal back. There he is. What kind of game were we expecting from Northampton? Town and just won 5-0, and it was absolutely fantastic. But Oliver mentioned it as well, and we'll come on to that with you, Oliver. But it was going to be a little bit tougher than the Port Vale game.
Yeah, well, they obviously have certain threats to Northampton. They do have quite a number of experienced lads in that team, which arguably one of them in McGeehan went off quite early. They did have a few early injury problems, did Northampton, and I think that sort of changed the game dynamically for them, because they then in the second half could only make a one window of substitutions. So Town really took advantage of that, and it was always going to be a tougher game. Let's have it right that Northampton they have been up and down this season in terms of league form and the table, but like I said, they have got certain threats. We did struggle against them at their place, and I think I have one of my mates up who's a Northampton fan, and he was certainly a little bit worried. Let's say that because they'd lost 5-1 to Burton Albion the game before, but no, in Town, we were probably going to give them a few chances, and they did create some chances in the game. Certainly, I don't think that they were the poorest side that we've seen this year. However, we made sure that we put across our dominance and eventually got the goals that we did to wrap up what was I would say a comfortable 3 points. It could have been certainly less comfortable if they'd have had the couple of lads on that had to go off through injury. One of them, I think, that Wheeler is on loan from Man United, I think, he looked quite decent. Obviously, they brought Tom Eaves on as well later on, who, loves to elbow people in the head. So, all around a good 3 points, but it was always going to be a little bit more difficult than what Port Vale was.
Yeah, and Oliver, you mentioned it was going to be a tough game, and Northampton certainly made it hard. It took a long time for Huddersfield Town to break them down, but eventually Joe Lowe getting the first goal of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so long ago, even it was only, as you said, 5 days ago, wasn't it? 3 games in 5 days. But yeah, the Northampton game, it was obviously going to be more competitive than Port Vale. But they play much more of a physical game sort of in your face, straight at you. Unfortunately, like I say, we got that goal before the goal. There was quite a bit of not time wasting, but there's a bit of slow play from Northampton as well, which was interesting, and a few physical. As soon as we got that goal on the stroke of half time, then the game was in our hands. Then the Northampton had to come up and attack, which we was in the driving seat at half time. But yeah, it was we managed to grind them down, and as I said in the other podcast, Northampton mid-table team. Very good in League One, very good League One standard team. And if we wanted to have any ideas of getting promoted, then we should be beating teams around that area, definitely.
And Cal, with that game against Northampton, it was obviously Town changed the formation against Northampton away, got a 1-1 draw. This time they kept that formation and eventually got the victory this time. And it kind of, we got to see how Town had progressed in this new system.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was as much a case of we'd progressed as much as maybe either we caught Northampton on a poor run of form or they sort of exposed their weaknesses away from home. Because a lot of the things that they did right when we played them at Sixfields, they were seeming to be fallen into the traps of lapsing when we played them just a week ago. So I think it's a mix of two things. We have progressed, and it was nice to see that against a team that we'd struggled against, we'd tried the same thing again and got a better result. But I also think that Northampton will see that game as, we're in the middle of quite a poor little run here, and we could have got more out of that game if the luck was on our side, maybe.
Yeah, they certainly weren't one of the worst teams that I'd seen at the ACU this season. I thought they were actually quite well structured, and obviously they're trying to play to their game plan and worked for quite a fair bit of it. But then Radolovic grabbing the second one for Huddersfield Town and getting the 3 points. All right, okay. Seen a couple of comments come in there. Michael says, evening, Kaine, Stephen, Callum, and Oliver, hope you're all okay. Michael, thank you very much. I've seen your comment as well, Michael, regarding the Exeter game. We'll come on to that one. Michael also says it was a hard-fought 2-0 win against a tough physical Northampton side. And good evening as well to Neil, who's put in a couple of comments, Frosty as well. So keep your comments in and keep them nice comments as well. Okay, next game, New Year's Day, away from home. Huddersfield Town go to Lincoln. Now, this is a really interesting one, because I'm going to come to you first after I've done the lineup. But a lot of people see this game quite differently. And again, that's what football's about. It's great. In current form, Huddersfield Town go to Lincoln, and that's a tough game in current form. On a grand scheme of things, Huddersfield Town would be expected to go and win that game due to expectations from the beginning of the season, etc., etc. How do you see it? Do you look at it as a, here we are, this is where we are, this is a tough game, or do you see it as a, actually we should probably be going to Lincoln and being the better side?
You coming to me first? Sorry, you broke up there. Oh,
sorry, chap. I think for me, it's a bit of both, because we, as real as we've got to be to where we are, it is a good point away from home. But should we be settling for, well, that were a good point. When, I said it after the game, I wouldn't be so bothered about the point and being disappointed by the point had we not played well enough to win the game. And it's the same with today, and we'll come on to that later, and I'm not going to discuss that now. But there are so many annoying things that make you think, well, no, I'm not actually happy with the point, because we should be winning those games. We've got the players to win the games, and it's not even that we've spent the money to be able to beat these teams, because we know that that's not what gets you out of this division. But in the games, we have played well enough to win them and not had enough, or not been coached well enough, or not been switched on enough to see the game out. And that's what's frustrating.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we've mentioned about the point. It was Lincoln won, Huddersfield Town won. this was your lineup for Huddersfield Town. Steve, I'm going to come to you, and then Oliver, I'm going to come to you. It was Nichols in goal. Obviously, from the Northampton game, Lowe came off at half time, so we had to have a change in the start. So it was Wallace, Balker, and Rowan, that back three. Sorensen and Gooch were on the two wide players. Ledson Harness in the middle of the park with Castledine just in front of them, and Radolovic and Alfie May in front up top. And Steve, so you look at the lineup, you go, okay, still fairly strong. He's still going with this kind of system, so that's kind of where we're at. We're now going into it. Obviously, you was down there as well. Which, by the way, what I would like to mention, a turn of fortunes and a run of results had Lincoln sold out, and now Stockport County sold out, which is in a couple of weeks' time, which is fantastic, by the way. Steve, how did you see it from the stands down there?
Well, I didn't see much because the sun was always in his eyes, and that's not just because I'm registered blind, but genuinely, if Lincoln do get up, can you at least build something in the corner to protect the fans who are trying to watch the game? Yeah, I thought it was a poor first half, if I'm being absolutely honest. I thought Lincoln played well. What I said to my Lincoln supporting mate, who's Chris, who also does the podcast on a Monday. I didn't think they played amazing football, but what they did was play very effective football, and he didn't really agree with that. Let's to be honest. But what I mean by that is that they constantly turned our midfield round to face our own goal. So Ledson, Harness, they constantly made sure that really we were always on the back foot. Lincoln did have some really bright moments, and Hackett should have got definitely a goal. I think Draper should have scored at least a couple. So realistically, Town went into half time, and we were all at the back of the stand trying to get a coffee or a hot chocolate, saying we didn't really know how it was 0-0, to be honest, because realistically, Lincoln did have the best chances. I think nobody really could come out of that first half and say that they played well. I didn't think Bojan held the ball up as well as he had been doing in the previous weeks. Sorensen had an absolute nightmare. I mean, whether that's because the sun was in his eyes or God knows, but every time they crossed the ball to him, he either slipped out of play or he couldn't get his head to it, or I don't know. But I mean, he was always in free space, but we just couldn't find him, or he couldn't execute what he wanted to. Second half time comes, don't know what Grant said. Second half, we play a lot better. We're more on the front foot. Alfie May starts getting into the game a bit more, making the direct runs that Lincoln couldn't really handle. I thought we deserved as one goal lead at the time, as in the second half. And then we nearly had a chance to make it 2, to be honest. I mean, Alfie should have scored again. I thought it was in until we realised it had hit the side netting. But just like today, which, as Cal says, we'll come on to talk about, you just knew that Lincoln were going to get a goal back. And as the half wore on, the pressure started, the home crowd got into it more. That stupid air raid siren thing that they have going for corners, that word up. And you just knew that they were going to get a goal back. And I was happy we got a draw out of it because of the form that they've been in. They are the form team. They've beaten Cardiff. They've beaten Stockport. They've beaten somebody else up there. I think it's Bolton. They've drawn with Bradford. So they are a really good team. But, yeah, other results around this, like today, which we'll come on to, needed to cement that point at Lincoln. And obviously, we haven't done that today. So it means we could have got more out of Lincoln game.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's come back to that, Steve. Right. Okay, so basically, what you're saying is the first half probably wasn't good enough.
First half wasn't. Second was. I was happy with.
Okay, so Oliver, how did you see? Did you believe the second half was a little bit better? There's a lot of mixed reactions on this one, and I go back to what I asked Cal at the beginning. Is this again what you look at current form? Or is this what you look at from the beginning of the season? And the performance from Town, how did you see in that first half and the second half? Because again, that was two different teams essentially.
I mean, you're only as good as your last game, aren't you? Really, on paper, yeah, there's only really one team that should be walking this league, and they're currently top of the league. So, but you're only good as you say, you're good as your last game. And I'm a bit different. I think in the first half at Lincoln, yes, we didn't get the chances, etc. But we're going away from home against current second in the table, and they've just won. Was it 5-1 today as well? I mean, they're going to be up there at the end of the season, and the fact that we were able to at least go into the break, as Steve said, it might have been a bit of luck, who knows, but it was without going behind. And then we had about 10 minutes where we were able to actually go to the game, go to them, and get that goal. And then again, it just collapsed, and they scored, and we've gone. I think we've led in every single game for the past 6 or 7 games. But yeah, and then just let it slip. But interestingly, today, I know we'll come on to the game today, but in Grant's post-match press conference, he mentioned about his 7 unbeaten streak. And he said some of the draws, he wasn't happy with, but there was one draw that he was happy with, and that was the Lincoln draw, which, again, at the end of the day, going away from home against second in the table, who are the form team, they're doing really, really well. Again, at the start of the season, would you expect them to be there? Probably not. But again, that doesn't matter. That was at the start of the season. We're now in the business end of the season. We're past the halfway mark. And this is where the teams start running in the points. So, again, I know people love to say, "Oh, I want to win 5-0 all the time." And yes, I would like to say that. But the realistic thing is, at the end of the day, we didn't lose. We managed to get a point, and we went ahead, and we had some chances to go two up, as Stephen mentioned. But again, it was that lax of is it concentration or a change or trying to run the game out, that defensive game. That allowed Lincoln to equalise. But yeah, I mean, I'd be quite happy, not happy, but I'd prefer a win, of course. But I mean, I would take a draw, definitely.
Yeah, Lincoln are a very good side, probably up there in the top 5 teams I've seen at the ACU in the last 2 seasons in League One. Birmingham, obviously, up there, Stockport County, and probably Lincoln for me.
You look at the stats again. Sorry, you just look at the stats. I mean, didn't they have 18 chances or something ridiculous? Yeah. And they've won 5-1 today. They're steamrolling teams. You know what I mean? And for us to go to their ground, lead. I know it was only for 8 minutes, but we didn't get steamrolled. And they'll definitely be up there by the end of the season.
Yeah, 5-2 today, Oliver, I believe.
5-2. That was it.
Yeah, they are a very good side. Cal, I'm just going to come to you very quickly on this one, on Lincoln game. Oliver mentioned it there. About a 10-minute period where Town looked good, they scored the goal, potentially could have got another one, but a great save from the goalkeeper from Alfie May. Is that a bit of an issue at the moment where it's a 10-minute period where Town are looking good? Or in that game against Lincoln, knowing you're up against second in the league, just defending well is pretty much a good spell for the rest of the 80 minutes?
No, because you can never go into a game with an 80-minute defensive mindset, because you set your stall out to be under pressure for 80 minutes, which is unsustainable for any side, really. But I think that the problem has been that we are good for 10 minutes, and all it takes is 10 minutes to undo what we've done as well. So we can have really good spells, and then we'll be a bit mediocre, and then we have these almost 10-minute spells of lapses in judgment where the 10 minutes starts, you look round, and then you're 1-0 down, or you've thrown away a lead again, and then you go back to being mediocre again. We don't ever have that consistency in a game and the sort of game management skill to be able to go, right, we're 1-0 up here, but we can't sit on a 1-0 lead for all the rest of this game. So what do we need to do to be able to make sure that we stay pressing on the front foot, but also protect the back end? The players are there to do it. The skill is within the team to be able to do that, because we've seen it done. We have played in games this season where we've been able to protect the back end whilst going for the keeping the foot on the pedal, so to speak. So I think, yes, we are good in 10-minute spells. We are also really bad then in inconsistent spells. And that adds to a pattern of inconsistency and ultimately poor results on paper.
Okay. Any other comments on the Lincoln game before we move on?
I mean, just to add quickly, I mean, you know, attacking wise, we didn't it wasn't as impressive, but as a defensive unit, considering how poor or how much work our defense has to have, it was an okay performance. If you just look at purely the defensive elements to it, it seemed to be able to soak up. Like I say, it wasn't a steamrolling, and again, there is luck elements involved in that, definitely. But you know, again, as Kaine says, you can't go away from home wanting a draw. You've always got to win, and that'll come to the next point when we get into the next game. But yeah, from a defensive display, it was okay. But yeah, you can't go into a game wanting to draw. That's not the way, is it?
Well, thank you, Oliver. Joe says, good evening, fellas. Good evening, Joe. Michael also mentions, poor first half at Lincoln, second half a bit better. Good Castledine goal made by May. Poor defending for the Lincoln goal. Grant substitutions made it clear we were settling for a draw instead of a win. Okay, very quickly before we move on, because I'm going to come to this man first next, but how good does Oliver's tash and little goatee going? He's had an haircut up here while he's here because there's only one barber in the Falcons. He's got the mullet going on, and I loved it when I saw it today, Oliver. I just want to say happy haircut and happy tash because that's fantastic.
Well, thank you. First one in 6 months, so it'll be
right. Okay, Lincoln. This was your lineup today. Lee Nichols in goal. Balker, Wallace and Rowan, that back three with Ashia and Gooch, your two wide players. Harness and Kasumu in the middle of the pack. Castletine just a little bit further forward, and Alfie May up top. Oliver. Bit of a change today. Obviously, Gooch in the lineup. He had the rest. Now he's back. Partnered with Ashia in the wing-back position. What did you make of that?
I mean, I rate Ashia, definitely. I think he was quite good today. He was causing problems on the flanks, definitely. And we had that's where the majority of the ball was, on the flanks, especially. But again, getting it into the box was we got it in, but there was no one there to get the final end product. But I do rate Ashia. Definitely. I mean, he's only 20-year-old as well. His pace, he manages to cause problems. Definitely, yeah. It was a good. I did rate his play today.
All right, okay. So obviously, Oliver's quite happy to see Ashia in there. Cal, it did seem strange to see him out there, and not included was Ruben Ruskin, and neither was Joe Taylor in that lineup in terms of the matchday squad. And typically, as the game went on, Town probably needed a left-sided player. We'll come on to that a bit more, but just in terms of the lineup, how did you see it? Were you quite happy to see what we got, and also Josh Feeney back on the bench?
Yeah, good to see Josh Feeney back on the bench, and I thought it was an interesting addition to move Ashia in there, who's had a very, very good spell at the start of the season and impressed. I think when he's come on as a substitute, he's offered that little bit of attacking impetus where it's been lacking, cutting in on his man and really causing that bit of difference. But I think for me, it all points back to that lack of consistency that yes, this may be a plan that we are trying new things and we seem to be dropping players. And I couldn't tell you why. We've done it a couple of times now in different games, and no example sort of jumps out of my head right now. But today was another one. We've dropped some players and we've rotated, and yes, it's necessary, and of course you need to do it over the course of a season. But where we've taken players from and who we've dropped after good performances and who we've put in, it doesn't necessarily make sense within the system that we're trying to play. Because looking at that lineup today, I thought, right, okay, that lineup with Radulovic and May up top looks to be a game through the middle. Try and play through the middle to your strikers to get the service. So then why have we got Ashia on, a player who thrives from cutting in from the wing, and not Ruskin, who can pick the ball up in the middle and drive forward, or cut into the middle and sort of become that pivot point in between the midfield and the strikers? It didn't make much sense to me, but who am I? I'm just a fan.
Is there any examples of that, Carl, that come to mind when you're talking about players being dropped after good performances?
There's been a couple. Annoyingly, there's none that are springing to my mind right now. And you know that's why you're smiling. Honestly, come back to me. Let me have
I will come back to you. I was just doing it to be mean. Steve, when you heard the lineup today, any qualms in there, or happy and getting ready to go? Steve, you're mute, pal. We can't hear you. Honestly, one job. We've had a word with Steve before podcast today as well to do some things. He's already not done that. Anyway, Steve.
I've already done what? Not done what?
Do you just crack on with what your thoughts are for starting lineup today?
All right. I'll listen back to it, see what you said. I thought that the lineup was positive in terms of a bit more attacking. Harness, obviously, is an attacking player in centre midfield. I thought bringing Ashia in was a good choice. Exeter were, I think we were all predicting Exeter to sit back, sort of. Not to the extent that Burton Albion and Port Vale did, but certainly not to be as attacking as what seemingly they were. My only qualm from the starting lineup was Gooch and Ashia being on the opposite wings to what they should have been on, to be absolutely honest. Why he's changed that and totally nullified our wing play by putting each of them on the other opposite wing than what they should be on, absolutely just baffles the crap out of me. If you have them on the wings that they're supposed to be on, then I think you create even more chances of crosses being put into the box, Ashia being able to, duck in like he usually does, and a bit of a Josh Caroma-esque and take some shots on. I did think that the Exeter fullback dealt with Ashia quite well throughout the whole game, to be honest. His performance was positive. Maybe not. I would disagree with Oliver as positive as maybe what Oliver thought. But yeah, I was happy with the lineup overall, Kaine. I don't think there was any. Ledson was taken out after his abysmal performance at Lincoln, so I was quite happy with that.
I think you're always happy to see Ledson not playing. Because apparently
no, that's not true. That's not true. Against
apparently it's crap according to you. Everyone's crap according to you. But
no, that's not true. Ledson was very good in the last couple of weeks, and then decided to be the old Ledson, not very good again at Lincoln. So he deserved to be taken out.
Right, I think, Steve, you need to go back and clip that where you're giving Ledson a bit of praise. Okay, let's go on to the first half then, Steve, today. I tell you what, it started really well. Both sides, in fact, Town, to be fair, I know during my commentary, there were 2 minutes I didn't stop because it was Town, and they seemed to be on it, and they looked pretty good, did Huddersfield, and you felt as if Town might just take this game to Exeter. And let's not forget, they're going to be no slouches. Their form were decent coming into this one. And it took a bit of time. There were a couple of shots from Marcus Harness, but eventually his shot from the edge of the area goes in, and it's 1-0 Huddersfield.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to clip some of this up as well, because Marcus Harness has played very well in the last couple of weeks. Another one of my players that I've not been impressed with this season on the whole, but in the last couple of weeks he's really stepped up in that, particularly that centre midfield role. Played a very attacking part for us, linked up the play really well. Still think he doesn't, physically demand the ball or is exceptionally good in the tackle. However, he has added to our attacking play very well in that position today. Got in the right position, took the shot. It's a lovely shot. Arrowed into the bottom corner. Keeper couldn't do anything about it, and we were on our way, weren't we? And I thought for that 10-15 minute spell, we really started to dominate the fixture. I have to say, Exeter were probably better than what I thought. We have to remember that we did have 23 shots against them when we played them at St James's Park a couple of months ago in the first half alone. It didn't really turn out that way this game though, and yeah, but I was really happy with the first goal and how we started to dominate the fixture, but we fell into Old Town habits, didn't we? We thought, hey, up, this is going to be easy now. We'll roll them over like we did Port Vale, and you have to give credit to the lad that struck their goal, because when you watch it back, I don't know what your commentary was like, Kaine, but the commentary that I was listening to, not yours, unfortunately, they were sort of saying that Nichols seemed a bit stunned by how the ball sort of like rocketed past him and didn't really see it. And when you watch the replay, I think it's Murray Wallace that stands in the way of Nichols' view, maybe, and how it bends round Wallace. I don't know what you got replays up there, so I don't know whether you saw more than obviously everybody else in the stadium, but fair play to the lad that scored the equaliser for them. That's what
Reece Cole, excellent strike. How I saw it, Steve, was edge of the area, puts it onto his right foot, bang. And could they have defended it a little bit better? Potentially. Could have got a little bit there quicker there? Potentially. Is the fact that Murray Wallace is in Lee Nichols' way, it doesn't really make much difference, because, Cal, when you hit a shot like that, it doesn't really matter, because it's going in the back of the net, and what a strike it was. Cal, can I have your thoughts on the Town's goal and Reece Cole's equaliser as well, please?
Yeah, this a good goal, like you say. It's one of them. A good goal to score at a good time to score it, but very disappointing in the way that we then reset after the goal, or the fact that we didn't then reset after the goal and sort of allowed them to cut straight through. That lack of concentration really needs to be addressed, because, you know, you just can't be allowing that at this level, because, like you say, Exeter are a better side than their league position would have you believe at this point in time. I don't know where they are after today. They were 15th coming into the game, weren't they? So they are a better side than that position would sort of lead you to believe. So yeah, a good finish from Town, but disappointing to concede it.
Funnily enough, Cal, sorry mate, funnily enough that we could say that about a few teams in this league at the moment because of points and where everybody is. Some teams are probably higher than where they should be because they're not that great, and then there's other teams like Exeter we do believe are probably a lot better than their league position. Yeah,
definitely. I think that there's a lot, like we said, that this is both the worst and best League One there has been in a long time, because the gap between the sides is so small that one win can sort of propel you upwards, but one loss can drop you quite far down into positions that the way you've played in the season doesn't sort of justify. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think we'll probably see that ourselves soon, because we've sort of retained, we've jumped up into fourth, but everybody around us pretty much has a game in hand on us. So I think we'll see quite quickly if those results go against us dropping quite quickly in a similar way.
And Oliver, just round up that first half for us, please, pal.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant goal from Harness. He had an attempt earlier on, but the keeper saved it. And again, he managed to get it in. But as Cal says, he lack of concentration. And to be honest, they didn't have many chances either. So it was basically, I think it was their second chance they've had all game, and they managed to do a wonderful strike. And it was a quality goal, to be honest. And then after that, there wasn't very. I was just putting it in my report at the end, but they didn't have many chances. It was more of a deadlock game in the midfield. They managed to poke and press and test the defensive lines as each other, but there wasn't many chances. Nichols and their goalkeeper, I've got his name now, didn't really have much to do. what was it? Yes, and then towards the end, I mean, you did see that Huddersfield were pressing. I think the possession stats, it was about 50-50, but Huddersfield were finally managing, and it was that Cam Asher on the wing that was able to get in there and pass it over to Bojan, who was unmarked. And there you go, 2-1 at the break. Again, we go into the break leading. And you just thought, Lincoln could definitely, not Lincoln, sorry, Exeter could still have a go, and still we haven't got the game out, but at least we're leading at half time. But yeah, I thought it was a good, quality, decent performance first half, definitely. And it just shows the formation, the system that Grant's chosen. We have a very, very good attacking team. We are the league top scorers. Again, we'll come on to it, I'm sure, but it's that defensive unit that still I'm questioning. Why are we switching to holding the game out rather than using that attacking team that we have? Score more goals than them, that's it, And
I think that does seem to be the question, Oliver, on quite a lot of people's lips, because we're now at a point within the podcast as well. We've spoken about a 2-0 victory.
Yeah.
We've spoken about a point away from home against second in the league, who have gone out and scored 5 today, conceded 2. And we halfway through talking about this game today at 2-1 up. So what does change? What happens out there?
Well, this is the thing. Second half, I think I was looking at the thing. It was like 60% possession for Exeter. So was it okay? I mean, and to be fair, all credit to the Exeter goal. It was quick, fast play. Huddersfield seemed a bit kind of shocked by it, but they were pressing, and Exeter did play a lot better in the second half. But was it? This is what I want to clarify. Was it a case of Huddersfield were trying to grind out the result and just sit back? But again, as we've proven, we're not that system, or it's not working at the moment. Isn't there to grind out them results, is it? It's there to go out and attack. We're one of the worst defensive records in the league at the moment in terms of conceding goals, and it's not the goalkeeper's fault at all. Nichols did incredible. He saved at least 2 or 3 dangerous chances from Exeter. Again, it's just, I don't know. It just seems the thing shifted. It sort of, we went into the break at half time. People were thinking, okay, this is good. One more goal, clear the game out. But it wasn't that. It was more a case of not sit back. That's the wrong word, because we definitely didn't sit back. We tried, but it was more a case of trying to absorb that pressure from Exeter, and they managed to get in there rather than being in the face and taking the game to them. That kind of it was a chalk and cheese game, really.
Yeah, because Nichols made a fantastic save in the first half from the lad up front. Now was it? I'll get his name.
In the second half, it was a one-on-one chance.
That's what I'm saying. Wear him in the first half where he saved with his feet, and then, like you said, they mentioned when Josh Feeney heads back and he comes out to the edge of his area, and it's another big save. Oliver, I'm sure we'll come back to you at some point. I'm going to move on to Cal. Town forced to make a change at half time. Sean Ruan coming off, and by all accounts, it's a groin injury, and he might be out for some time. Josh Feeney comes on. We've already mentioned, great to see him there. Steve's got his head in his hands. Steve, will come on to you, don't worry. But it should have just been more of the same, really. What do you think, in terms of what Ollie was saying? It looks as if we sit back, or, do you want to see Town just keep going at them? And how do you see it from the stands? What does it look like from the cowshed?
It looks the same as it looks to you. They take the pressure off, and each time we've done that this season, we have been punished in one way or another. We seem to not be learning from the mistakes. But I come back to that C word that I keep saying. Not that one. Consistency. We do not have the consistency within this team to be able to keep the pressure on and get the result. Like Oliver said, are we looking to grind out these results based on those second half stats? Yes, we are. You cannot do that for 45 minutes, or we can't. Some sides might be able to, but time and time again, we have shown that we are incapable of being able to do that. our best game this season, score-wise, goals-wise, has come against a very poor Port Vale side, yes. However, that was a game where we kept our foot on the pedal, went for the jugular time and time again, played on the front foot, even when we were winning 3-0. So why can't we carry that in to these games where you go 1-0 up and you don't think, right, we'll rest on our laurels and we'll sit back and we'll ponder on the ball and we'll play lovely crossfield balls and sort of leather it and play long balls rather than short ones. Look at the passes in the second half. There were nearly 300 passes for Town in the first half. There were about 150 in the second. That shows that the confidence with the ball at the feet is gone, because you're not looking for options. You're looking over there. You're not looking short, nice, lovely, intricate little passes to keep the move flowing forward, to keep it going, like we did against Port Vale, where Bojan picks the ball up and he sprays it over the lovely long ball out to the wing. We're not doing it because we're trying to play conservative, slow, ponderous, grind the result out sort of football, and it doesn't work. But I don't know how many times we need to be shown that.
Steve, anything to add on to Cal? Obviously, the game is, Town have conceded. It's 2 apiece. That's how it's going to end. I've got some really good comments that I really want to get to as well in a moment. But anything to mention on top of what Cal's had to say?
No, just the fact that we've got another injury in Rowan. I mean, this football club is cursed, and I think it always will be by injuries. The lad's done well since he's come back into the side since he was last injured. The goal, I mean, to be honest, Exeter should have won the game today because Feeney's header back was so poor back to Nichols, and he made a brilliant save. So they should have scored there, and then obviously the goal that they did score. I mean, the fact of the matter, Kaine, is like the reason why we're talking about this lacks of pressure is that he makes poor substitutions, and he did the same at Lincoln. We were on top in the second half. He refuses to make a sub at Lincoln, where he makes one, and that then doesn't relieve the pressure or change the game, and it changes the game negatively because the lads out there are so out on the feet that he doesn't realise it. But then today, he makes subs that don't even make sense. He takes Castledine off and puts Ben Wiles on, and I'm really sorry, I know you want to get to some comments, but we need to talk about Ben Wiles. Like, the lad just needs to go. He does my head in. He's been here 3.5 years and has not contributed to the football club in any way, such way possible, really, if we're being honest. He's had a few good games here and there, scored a few goals, yes, but overall his contribution has been very poor. And today was the same. I mean, all I ask of a footballer is to run, and he couldn't even run today. And he was one of the reasons why they scored that goal at the end. He didn't track his man. Sorensen then didn't, because he's on the wrong side anyway. He got pulled out of position. They slipped the ball through, and it is a clever finish. It reminded me very much of a Jordan Rhodes type finish all those years ago. But yeah, his substitutions cause us so many problems, or either lack of substitutions or then doing substitutions that don't make any sense. I mean, Gooch got taken off. He was shaking his head. Castledine didn't want to be taken off. I just don't get it. And that's where the pressure was changed, and Exeter could smell blood. I'd say halfway through that second half, and you just knew the more the half went on, the more chance they were going to get back into the fixture. And that's entirely what happened, really.
Okay, Oliver, what's your thoughts on them subs?
No, I kind of, have an agreement with Stephen there about the subs. It's weird how it changed the system. The only thing I think of, maybe fitness, or maybe trying to save the players for the next few games, because there has been a busy schedule, 3 games in 5 or 6 days. So the only thing I think of is maybe to have options for Lee Grant so he can test the players. But again, it's not really the environment to do that. So I don't quite understand why But anyway, it was 5 substitutions in the second half. So that's quite a lot. So maybe it was a fitness issue, or I don't know, or trying to save the players, or trying to learn more from his players for the next couple of games. I'm not sure. It was a bit of a strange one, but he's the manager. He gets to make them decisions.
Cal, anything from you on the subs today?
At least he's not tried to make 6 again. But I find the man genuinely baffling with his substitution choices, because he'll either make 5 in the second half, or he'll make 1 in the 82nd minute.
Yeah.
When we need to change a game, and you're thinking, what's the plan? What is the plan here? Who is telling him to do that? Or is he
nobody?
This is the problem, right? Because nobody's accountable for it, because it's either the group's fault or it's nobody's fault.
The group. I love the group.
And I listened to him after the game today. It was the group's fault again. Who's in charge of the group?
What I would say is, gents, a positive. Leo Castledine wasn't waving when he walked off the field. He wasn't waving, he was just clapping. So let that is a positive.
You
right.
A collective sigh of relief when Town had used him in the promo for the game.
Yeah.
Oh well, he can't be leaving because he's in the promo, so it's fine.
Is that the biggest positive from today, that he didn't wave? Is that what we're saying, Kaine?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just pointing out something, that he didn't wave goodbye. He was clapping the support that he got.
I wish Ben Wiles would wave goodbye.
Cheers, Steve. Michael says, decent first half performance. 2 good goals, poor defending for Exeter goals, awful game management, poor substitutions. What else have we got in here as well? Joe says, I felt Grant got his subs wrong today, took out main outlet off in Bojan. Subs made us worse. Rivet Head, some of your comments, I can't read out all of them, but I do appreciate them. Second half was proper rubbish, I think that says. Good job, I'm dyslexic and can't read. Castledine couldn't come up with much today and kept drifting out wide, which made him ineffective. Alvermere was not at it either. I think that's kind of the role that Castledine's in. He's in a bit of a sometimes play through the middle, but we also need you out wide left. It's an unfluid way of using Castledine at the moment. It has been like that for quite some time. John Eastwood, thank you, John, for commenting. He says, in all honesty, we now have a 0 chance of automatic finish. We'll have to show a lot more resilience if we had to hold on to a playoff spot. Exeter deserved their point and was on exactly the same at Lincoln. So I think what he's saying is, like Exeter deserved their point away today at Huddersfield Town, Town maybe deserved their point away at Lincoln. John, correct me if I'm wrong. Why was Sorensen put at left back, where we know he isn't great? That directly led us to conceding at the end, as he didn't have to. Well, he couldn't prevent the cross and stood off his man. Look at the stats from the first half of the second half on any website. It's like night and day. Yeah, appreciate the comments. The comments are great that are coming in. Grant's tactics are baffling and beyond belief, and all the subs were all wrong. I was surprised Ledson didn't start over Kasumu. Darren, I'm assuming you're a Bradford fan. Mind the gap, lads. Hey, still plenty of games to go, Darren, but thank you for tuning in, my friend.
Good to see Bradford City fans tuning into a Town podcast, isn't it? I mean, they only want to watch things about bigger clubs, so it's all good.
Joe says, I've only been whining about Ben Wiles to Steve for 3 years. Today he listens. Joe, we tell Steve stuff all the time and he never listens, mate. Believe us, we're on your side here, mate.
That is true about Joe. He has been telling me it for 3 years. I've tried to back Ben Wiles up as much as possible, but the caravan has finally broken.
Paul says, why change tactics today? He's always tinkering with the system and we should be consistent and keep the same team. Tactics, Ashia should have been on the left when he was subbed on, Sorensen on the right. Ben Wiles was great for 2 games under Warnock, has been a bag of rubbish. for 3 years since. Again, it's a good job I'm dyslexic. John says they always reckon points on the board are worth more than games, and we certainly have to hope the likes of Reading, Stevenage, Luton find it tough to take advantage of that scenario. Paul again, Ben Wiles offers nothing at all. Cash in on him and get another body in for him. What's the point of putting Alves on the bench at -2 after a long-term injury if you're not going to play him? He would have hurt Exeter. Okay, right. So, lots of comments to go through there. Some fantastic comments, so thank you very much for them. Really do appreciate them. But Rivethead, can we just maybe change them up a little bit? Maybe be a bit, anyway. I think there's some pretty fair comments in there, Cal, and I think John's come up with a couple. Talking about points on the board, it's important to have them. And also, what else did he mention? Was it a point like Exeter's point deserved today? Was that what Towns was against Lincoln?
It comes back to expectation, I think, doesn't it? Like, if you said before the season, would you be happy with a point against a team like Exeter or Lincoln? You'd have said, absolutely not. This is the bread and butter of this division, that if you want to get out of it, you need to be beating these sides that have been in the division for a while. Unfortunately, the predicament that we find ourselves in is that you do have to look at these games in isolation and think, yes, on paper, that is a good point. But unfortunately, as the great Cloughy did say, football is not played on paper, it's played on grass. And sometimes we are not very good at it. So I hope that looking at the games in isolation, we can take positives from them. But, in the grand scheme of things, that when it comes down to the crunch, the team that's won the most games will be the most successful. And we are not that team right now.
Steve,
thanks for that, Michael.
Steve, lots of comments about Ben Wiles, and Paul mentions about cashing in on him and getting another body in. I'm assuming, Steve, that you really would like to cash in on him. But the issue that you've also got to think, he's not been playing, and he's not really offering you too much on the team. So any scouts coming to watch, would they still be saying, "Oh, you will take him," or is it a case of going, when you need to go get some game time out on loan? How do you see that? It was quite clearly you're not too happy with him.
What's giving you that impression?
I know. Can you believe it, Cal?
Quite clearly. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe he's only got 6 months left on his contract anyway at the club. So you won't get a lot of money for him anyway, I wouldn't have thought. I just don't. I just think over 3.5 years that he's been here, I really think that some town, particularly several town fans, including myself, have really wanted it to work for Ben, right? And we've gone and tried to back up what he's done in the game, whether it's he's ran the most, or he's created some goals, or he's created some chances, or he's done sort of dummy runs which have then effectively got us goals from elsewhere because he's created a bit of a nuisance of himself. But I just watched him today, and he just came on and he wasn't interested in the game. I mean, he misplaced about 6 or 7 passes that were very easy today. He didn't run. He was culpable for why the goal went in. And I just think you're supposed to be, according to what we've all been told, part of this leadership team. Now, he was captain last year. Has he had a bit of a... Is he annoyed that he got the captaincy taken away from him over this year and Ledson's become the captain? I don't know, but he's obviously not played a lot this year. This season, obviously not this year because he's only played 2 games. But I just don't see where else he goes in the squad or what he adds. And somebody else said to me in the stands today to take Castledine off in the form that he's been in and to put Ben Wiles on you've ultimately downgraded your attacking ability there to go and score a third goal. And maybe that sounds harsh, but what will we all remember from Ben Wowes' time at the club? Can any of you three genuinely tell me anything that we'll remember him for? Anything? Name me one thing, and
His middle name's Trevor, and I find that quite funny.
Is it actually Trevor? I didn't know that.
Benjamin Trevor Wiles. There you go.
All right.
It's a great middle name.
But can honestly, genuine question, and if anybody else listening, could anybody tell me one thing that you'll remember Ben Wiles for in his time from a positive aspect? Because I don't think I will.
You ruined it with that last bit of the sentence. I had loads lined up then, and you said from a positive aspect, and they all just disappeared.
Rivethead said hitting the post from a free kick. Look, let's move on. I think it's fair to say that Ben Wiles isn't Huddersfield Town fans' favourite player at the moment. Nana Paul's touching on one. During the game, he's assuming Radlovic came off for a potential injury. So Nichols giving the sub sign when checked on him before the physios came in. Otherwise, it would have been May coming off. That could have been different as well. You know, if Bojan stays on to win the ball up a little bit more, because after that, it just seemed to just go and just come back. Oliver.
Hello.
By the way, Oliver, just before I come back to you, actually, Paul says, I can't think of nothing, Steve. Oliver, anything else regarding all the comments that we've gone through from Paul, from John, from Rivethead, from Joe, from Nana Paul? Is there anything in there from Michael that you want to comment on?
Yeah, just some good comments. Some quite, we've talked about the game. I mean, we could be here all day talking about the game, but the big one for me was the John Eastwood one. He said, we have zero chance of an automatic finish. And I think we're about 9 points away from Lincoln. And again, I'll ask this question. As a minimum expectation, would you say playoffs? I would say playoffs was always the expectation. Automatic would be nice, of course, but like I say, it's a tight league. I would say the League One is starting to shape up now. You've got the top 8, really. Then you've got the next couple, and then the next one's down, and then you've got Port Vale at the bottom. So, I would say it's all kind of competitive with the top 8 fighting for them playoff positions. And I always thought Huddersfield were going to be in the playoff area because, again, new team. We don't want to dwell on it, but new team, blah, 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 new season. I always thought that might have been a realistic expectation. And now we're in a battle with Bolton and Stockport and Stevenage. Bradford are a few points above us as well. But it's all, as Carl said, it's all very, very close in there. And like I said, I think we're joint 39 points with Stockport and Bolton. So it's all going to be a thing. But, I mean, I just one game at a time, isn't it, really? Rather than going, we're going to go automatic straight away. There's only one team. I personally would say there's only one team that should be walking it, and that's Cardiff. And they're not walking it, but they're top of the league. So the rest of that, everyone's in a battle.
So Huddersfield Town 4th, 25 games played, 11 won, 6 draws, 8 losses, 45 goals scored, 34 conceded, 11 goal difference, 39 points. Bolton are on 39 points in 5th. Stockport are on 39 points in 6th. And Stevenage are on 37 points in 7th. Above Huddersfield Town, Bradford City on 46, Lincoln on 48, and Cardiff on 51. Okay. Carl, I'm going to come to you first because I already know what Steve's answer is. But Oliver says that his expectations of Town was to be top 6. And what would you argue that your expectations are a little bit different?
Probably not now, but at the start of the season, I'd say, you go into every season thinking, right, well, hopefully this is going to be a good season. But I think as well at the amount of the sort of caliber of the players that we signed and getting Alfie May through the door and to a certain extent buying into the hype almost of what was being sold to us at the time. you did sort of get it in your head that yes, maybe we should be up there, top 2. You know, I don't see what Lincoln have got that we don't, and to some extent, I don't see what Cardiff have got that we certainly haven't had the opportunity to get that maybe we've squandered, be that through the decision making of the club or the management or even down to individual decisions of the players. But you know, Cardiff came down from the Championship. We came down from the Championship, and at the time that we came down, we had very similar sides, very similar budgets, and you know, we were very close to appointing who their current manager is now. I believe we even interviewed the bloke. So we're not so different, but the season's panned out to be very different, and I think we all need to. Well, not us. It's not our responsibility, but the people at the club need to sort of look at why that is. Because we should have been up there, and we should be up there now. And the problem you've got is, yes, we are 4th, and yes, it looks good, but look below. Bolton have got a game in hand. Stockport have got a game in hand. Stevenage have got 2 games in hand. You know, the only people around us that don't have a game in hand on us is Lincoln, and then you've got to go right down to 10th to Wickham. Everybody else has got a game in hand. So quite quickly, you could find that this 4th turns into an 8th or a 9th.
Steve, and your expectations as well, are they similar to Cal's?
Yeah, I think, at the start of the season, I was hoping that we were going to battle it out for top 2. I think I ended up predicting us to be 5th, actually, in my pre-season predictions. The thing that worries me is it a 4th place at the moment, like Cal says, that's built on sand? Is it? Yeah, we can all say that we've been undefeated in 7, and some of them performances have been very good. But then there's been moments and elements of those performances that worry you either by individuals within the team, the group, or the individual leading the group, such as today, where he just seems to throw 5 subs on and go, right, go on, lads, crack on. There's no plan. And that's what worries me. And if somehow by some miracle we made it into the playoffs, let's be absolutely honest now. The teams that are currently in and around those playoffs, there's some big teams in there, isn't there? Bolton, Bradford, Lincoln, obviously a 2nd at the moment, Stockport. These are teams that have got big playoff histories, whether they're good or the bad in terms of Lincoln and slightly Bradford. But these are teams with strong mentalities, and I don't know if we've got a better mentality than last season, but have we got a strong mentality? I'm not so sure. And I don't know whether our manager's got a strong mentality either. And it does worry me. People go, well, you should have just enjoyed it in 4th. Yeah, but as fans, we don't just enjoy it, do we? We analyse everything to do with every game. We're sat here, and we've done that for the last hour on 3 fixtures.
We certainly have. We certainly have, Steve.
I think it'll be interesting to go into the next game against Stockport. Again, another playoff team that, how are we going to fare against them? Because they've been up and down, but, they've just got some players coming back, such as Ollie Norwood now, that controls their midfield, and we know how that went against us at home a couple of months ago.
Just the key thing to add, Kaine, just quickly on that. Just you look at Cardiff, they lost in the Championship, but they had stability last season. It's pretty much a similar team, similar manager. Same with Lincoln as well, and these teams around us. Huddersfield, massive changes in pre-season, new squad, new manager, director of football now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of changes that Huddersfield have had. Again, we've got, I think, one of the biggest budgets in the league in terms of our team, but that still doesn't entitle us to be walking the league. Man United have spent billions on their, I know we're not Man United or that level, but it's the same similar concept. They've spent billions on theirs. That doesn't give them the right to be first, top of the table. And there's been so many changes. And the positive I've got, this finale on this, is that at least now Grant has his system. He was at the start of the season, he was changing it left, right, centre, new formations, blah, blah, blah. At least he's happy with this 3-5-2 that he's playing quite a lot. At least that's something he's found. Again, I'm just still baffled about the substitutions, but that's another debate for another day. But yeah.
Okay, so a couple of comments. So from you three here, I've got 2 questions for you each. I need them brief. For our viewers, our listeners, we've got Stockport County on Saturday, away from home. It's been sold out. Can I get your predictions, please? Okay. Michael says, we've got a few players coming back from injury this month. Miller, Alves, Redmond, Kaine, Feeney, McGuane. I've heard that McGuane is in full-time training, so hopefully he'll be back very soon. Redmond is fit, ready for some minutes, and Alves was on the bench, of course, today. Rivethead says, with the 3rd highest wage bill in the league, so we should be aiming for 3rd on paper. And then some comments about who to bring in. So listeners, viewers, get your predictions in. We're not really going to touch on who we need to bring in. It's just going to be a quick question because we're running a little bit over time, and some of us are up early in the morning for work, aren't we, Cal? 5:30 for my lad. So fair play to him staying up this long for this. Okay, so these are some of the questions. Paul says, Kaine, realistic targets to bring in. What do you guys think we need to bring in to strengthen us? He also says, I myself believe a born leader, a playmaker, a backup goalie. So 3 targets I think we need, but a leader is the key. No voice on that pitch today. Joe also says, where would you be looking at spending? Where would you be looking at strengthening if we do spend in Jan? And Paul also says, granting no manager, he's an assistant manager out of his depth for sure. A surefire manager would keep the same tactics and keep that winning philosophy always. Okay, so no predictions in yet on the comments, so get them in very quickly. Oliver, strengthening. I just need it quick. I don't need explanations. Where are you strengthening?
Born leader. Someone at the back. I know it's easy. We've talked about it before, haven't we, about this Schindler. You can clip it ages ago. But yeah, we need someone at the back that can grab the bulls by the horn and get that line sorted. So
you want someone at the back to be that leader at the back there, yeah? So you're thinking more of a central defender?
Yeah, I guess so, or something to fit that system, that 3-5-2 system. We do have good players, but yeah, like I say, the stats speak for themselves. Best attack in the league, but we conceded one of the most goals in the league as well. So yeah, we need something to hold that.
Okay, Steve.
Wingers,
big
nasty centre forward, and probably now a backup goalkeeper because I've not heard, but there seems to be a suggestion out there that Goodman will be going back to Crystal Palace, which I'm not exactly devastated by, but there we are. So yeah, wingers, big nasty centre forward, probably somebody in the middle to replace Ledson, because Ledson isn't leader. Yeah, I agree with Oliver, a born leader, but rather at the back, I'd have it in centre midfield because I think his midfield is weak.
So Steve wants a new team. No, I'm only joking. Steve,
I didn't say that, did I?
Steve, wingers wouldn't suit the current system, though.
Yeah,
so
wingers.
Would you change the system then as well?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Cal,
blood and guts central midfielder, a Jonathan Hogg type character. You know, to take that midfield, as Oliver said, by the horn, take the ball by the horns, dictate the play out there, have a go at people when they're getting it wrong, and don't necessarily clap them when they're getting it right either. Always keep them on the toes. And an avenue that we've not gone down. I don't think we need another keeper. I think Chapman can number 2.
Yeah,
absolutely, no problem. But if we are, and there's always constant discourse around changing a manager, if we're going to do it, we've got to do it quick. And I probably would.
Okay, that is
Shock,
also
shock.
very thank you for that, Cal. Finally, we've got some predictions in, so thank you very much. We've got Riverhead is going 2-0 Stockport. Paul is going, I think it's going to be tight, 2-1 to Stockport. Hate to say it, but my gut says a loss. Michael also says 2-1 Stockport. So that hope for a positive 2026 at the moment is not very positive. Nana Paul's gone 1-1. For me, more of the same, I fear.
You better end on Oliver here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm going to go to Oliver last. So, Carl, your prediction, please.
Mine is unfortunately same as Riverhead, 2-0 Stockport.
Okay, Steve.
2-1 Stockport.
2-1 Stockport. And Oliver, with your fresh new mullet and a fantastic tash and little goatee, whatever you call this bit there.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm on radio and not TV anymore. No, I would say, it's got to be a 2-1 to Huddersfield, hasn't it? Surely.
Oh, you had me going.
That's the positive that we're after, which means on this Talk Town special, as Town hope for a positive 2026, we've got it with Oliver. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for your comments. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let's hope for a positive 2026 with a promotion in there. Thank you very much. And until next time, we shall see.